I begin session 6, Transnational Trade of Electricity. It means trade in the South Asian region, SAARC region. And now in this session, region will not mean the 5 electrical regions of India. Region will mean South Asia as a region. So the little change in terminology for this session. And let me give you an introduction, which is of course there in the book which was circulated yesterday in the last. That let me start with alphabetically. Bangladesh-India trade started from October 2013. About 500 megawatt power flows to Bangladesh, which comes to about 250, 230 from Government of India, that is through NTPC, for which NVVN is the trader, and then balance is procured by Bangladesh Power Development Board from the market, and their present supplier is PTC, and the source is West Bengal Distribution Company Limited. So, and now talks are going on to double the capacity between West Bengal and Bangladesh from 500 megawatt to 1000 megawatt. The interconnection between Bangladesh and India is HVDC, asynchronous, independent frequencies, no spreading of grid disturbance to each other. And the talks are also going on to provide 100 megawatt power to Bangladesh on the Tripura border on radial mode. So, and there are further talks going on power sharing. So the transnational trade between India and Bangladesh has further cemented and consolidated the relationship between the two countries, and it is a mutually beneficial relationship. And this was done in record time of 3 years. HVDC terminal was built because of the good understanding between the two countries, and the project was funded by the Asian Development Bank. The Bangladesh portion of 740 crores. And now coming to Bhutan, historical relationship of power trade is there between India and Bhutan. First Chukha unit was commissioned, I think, in 1986 up to 1988, and after Chukha hydropower station, then Kurichi power station, and then the major one Tala 1020 megawatt. So roughly about 1600 megawatt of power flows from is exported by Bhutan to India. PTC is the trader. It is a negotiated tariff, and it is a government-to-government arrangement. The funding, the generation projects have been set up with the help of financial assistance from Government of India. And recently, and now 3 more projects: Pune Sangchu 1, Pune Sangchu 2, Mangdechu, totaling to about 2,500 megawatt are under construction. They have gone through their earlier difficult phase of geological surprises, and now I am very positive and sure that around before 2018 all these projects will be commissioned, and our total India's import from Bhutan will be of the order of 16 billion units every year. And these 3 projects are also on government-to-government model, government-to-government assistance by Government of India, equity portion as grant, and loan 10-year loan tenure for the loan 70% portion. The 4th project which has been agreed now during the visit of the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, is Kolangchu 600 megawatt. I do not know the terms of loan, etc. about that project. And there is a 2020, the actual original target was to not only these 3 projects, but develop a total 10,000 megawatt capacity by 2020. So I think we'll be able to develop around 4,000 megawatt. For the rest, action has to be taken. However, the DPRs are in place, approved by CWC and CEA, and all survey investigations completed. grid master plan for evacuation of plan from Bhutan is ready. So very good, excellent prospects with Bhutan in India electrical trade. Now third is Nepal. With Nepal somehow the government to government arrangement for setting up generation projects in Nepal has not fructified, in spite of discussions for many years, many decades. One is the big storage type project, Pancheshwar, and second that is on bordering with Uttarakhand and UP side, western Nepal, and on the eastern Nepal Saptakoshi project. That is the project which is irrigation, navigation and power generation project. That also is not making progress after decades of mutual engagement. So then Nepal has opened up, but presently India is providing electricity to Nepal of the order of 150 megawatt through about 10, 11 kV, 33 kV and 132 kV connections, and the supply is given to bordering pockets of Nepal on radial mode. So Nepal doesn't have one unified grid anyway. So now presently a 400 kV line between Muzaffarpur, India in Bihar and Dhalkebar in eastern Nepal is under construction. It will be now commissioned in December 15th because the line length is short and the work has already started. So with that there will be synchronization of Nepal and India. It will be AC synchronous connection as in the case of Bhutan, and this line will be initially used for import of power by Nepal, and when Nepal becomes surplus, it is expected by 2017-18 Nepal's own IPP projects will also start materializing, and Nepal is likely to grow surplus beyond 2017-18. That is the estimate. So then Nepal will be selling power into India. Nepal has given license to 28 IPPs to do the survey, and they give a license for doing survey and investigation. So 28 parties went there. Most of them are Indian, some are from Norway also, and later on those could be taken over by other bidders. So prominent projects are some projects of GMR, one of Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam, Arun 3, which are now at the stage of signing of project development agreement. I want to flag a few issues for discussion and for views of the panelists here. That is, so far government to government tariff determination method has worked, and the DISCOMs and the state regulators in India accepted that tariff. Now in future for Nepal projects and maybe joint venture projects in Bhutan, how will the tariff become acceptable to Indian regulators and the Indian DISCOMs, and how will the PPA be realized? Because the and one more issue with the Nepal is that they have some certain rates of royalty and free power which is to be given to the host country, which are different from the rate of royalties, or we don't have royalty, we call it free power, which is allowed by the new hydro policy of Government of India, that is 12% free power and 1% free power for the local area development. So if there are higher norms on amount of free power to be given, then how will it be handled by the Indian buyers? So those are the questions on Nepal side and also hydro side, Bhutan side, and because unless PPAs are clear and coordinated transmission plans are made with Nepal, financial closure of the projects is going to be a very big challenge. Given the weak position of Nepalese banks, the whole money has to come from international banking, including the Indian financial institutes. I do not know the status of the draft PTA, which is now recently being negotiated. My friend from Nepal will tell us about that. Then with Pakistan, talks have been going on for a long time. It is basically a political decision. I don't think we need to discuss this today here. And similarly, in case of Sri Lanka, marine survey has been done. A 50 crore DPR has been nearly completed to connect, the northern tip of Sri Lanka with the, uh, with the with Madurai power station or power grid in Tamil Nadu. That is from Tuticorin side, not from Cape Comorin side, because that area is protected due to biological reasons. So that is about 60-70 kilometers of submarine cable, and the cost of project is around 2,500 crores. But that project has slowed down because neither Sri Lanka seems to be interested in buying power from India. As you know, they have set up a thermal power station of imported coal with Chinese help, which has finally started operating now after initial hiccups. 2 units of 300 megawatt are working, third one under construction, and now NTPC project has also taken off. That is another 2 units or 250 megawatt. So Nepal, Sri Lanka does not seem to be keen to buy further power from India at the moment, and India also doesn't have any potential of possibility of sourcing power from Lanka. So that link will materialize only when the conditions are there. So now with this general profile, I want to say that transnational trade and SAARC grid is that basically India is in the central position of South Asia. So by having adequate interconnections, it will evolve into a SAARC grid. And today we are already operating our Indian grid in real-time coordination with the national load dispatch centers of Bhutan, as well as Bangladesh, as well as Nepal. So on a pilot scale, the SAARC grid is already working. It's a question of scaling up, a question of mutual decisions at the SAARC level or summit level. And I think I have taken enough time, and now I want to ask my friend from Nepal to speak from there or wherever he likes.
Thank you, sir. Namaste. Actually, Nepal-India relation is changing very fast. We were importing power from India for past almost 10, 12 years in small quantity. Right now also we are importing about 180 megawatts. And Ravinderji perfectly said that 2017 onward we'll have some surplus in wet months, but dry months still we need to import something. The question comes, why it tries this transnational tradability? India, the fifth largest coal deposit country, why to buy from Nepal, why to buy from, let's say, Bhutan especially? What I see, any thermal, nuclear, or even the cell gas plants needs huge water. And water management is possible only through hydropower. Irrigation is possible only through hydropower. And it's compulsion for the regional development that I think Nepal, Bhutan, and maybe the Uttaranchal, Northeast India should start all these storage projects so that we'll have enough water during our dry months when all our river, even Ganga, becomes nalas. Nepal, same case. Bagmati, it's so clean for 125 days. Next 3-4 months, it's half dirty. Another 3-4 months, it's totally nala, full of smell. So what I believe, this transnational trade of electricity is not only for the electricity, it's to manage water for the 1.2 billion population in the south. And I think we are working on the same direction. Actually, last week, the Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj visited. I was part of the Nepalese, let's say, advisory group. We really work hard because in Nepal, when we say Nepal-India power treaty or water treaty, the bump starts everywhere in Nepal, especially in media. So it was a very hard time for us. We really work hard, going to media, 4 interviews a day, this, that. And coming Sunday, Indian Prime Minister Modi is coming to Nepal. We hope to sign something totally different than what we have done before. If you see, 1996, we really signed very nice agreement with, let's say, India. When I.K. Gujral was the Prime Minister, our export, export within 2 years became fourfold after that treaty. This time, we are getting big push from India. We want to have nice relation in water and energy. Nepal should go forward. So we as a, let's say, part of Nepalese delegates, we are really pushing. But the problem is the hydropower development is not taking in the fast speed like in China and Brazil. I have seen in China more than 250,000 megawatt under construction. Bhutan is doing some good job, but not in Nepal, not in, let's say, even in India, not even in Pakistan. What I see, the problem is that electron flowing from Bhutan has no political color. The water in Nepal, I call Bagmati, becomes Ganga. There's no political color. We politicized in the past so much between Nepal, India, let's say, water treaty. Kosi Treaty, it was so good for Nepal, but it became so bad treaty in the media. So the suspicious between these two, let's say, bureaucrats are so heavy. Now it's going down. Now it's going down, and the fact and figure really coming up. And I just tell you, 20 years back, if I go to media and say power export is must to India, somebody will kill me. Today I can go in media, power export is must. First, we need to understand the river of nature of this Himalayan river. In Himalayan river, the Himalayas are so high. Only 8% of water vapor is going to Tibet, so it's very dry, and all 92% coming back to the same Indian Ocean through Nepal, Pakistan, or let's say Bhutan, India, to Bangladesh, to Indian Ocean. That's why the flood level is so heavy. The flood level is 30 times, 50 times, and in some river it's 100 times of dry months, regular flow. So without water storage, the hydropower efficiency can never come. The good part for Nepal for this transnational, let's say, transmission line is that a 300 megawatt Upper Karnali project, which is taken by GMR now, becomes 900 megawatts. That will make the electricity at least 38% cheaper than for the domestic market. And Nepal, people say 83,000 megawatt. No, we have more than 150,000 megawatt if we are linked to Indian market. Otherwise, we may be only 25,000 megawatt just for our load, because our load is not changing from, let's say, 1,000 megawatt to 5,000 megawatt from dry to wet. So this connection is really must. I've been to this Bhakhra Nangal. Sometimes I get challenged from my Indian friends and from Nepalese friends that power is possible from anything. Okay, it's fine. Power is possible. Just let's look at the import bill. India 200 billion, Nepal almost, let's say, 30% of the whole budget. What we export, we do double of oil import because enough hydropower not developed. So without developing hydropower, especially storage unit, this region can never come up. We can think of any thermal power station which needs water. We can think of food security. We can think. That's why all these projects will come by push-up, whether we like it or we don't like. It will come up. The market will push us to build storage dams in the Himalayan ranges. That's more in Nepal and Bhutan. And I think that will be the most beneficial, like Bagra Nangal, which changed the whole scenario in agriculture and the power in Haryana. And there can be 30, 40 good sites ranging from 10,000 megawatt Karnali Chisapani to 6,400 megawatt Pancheshwar. And we are really pushing this time when the Indian Prime Minister is coming that we talk too much. I blame both side bureaucrats. Two politicians from Nepal and India, they love each other. They are like good lovers. They sign anything. Anything Nepal give, India sign. Anything India give, Nepal sign. But the bureaucratic level, no. It's not very clean, both sides. They love to sit back to back. But now things are changing. I met the Indian Secretary to find some ways how we can go fast forward and not entangle in small things. I'm worried for the Ganga cleaning plan by the Indian Prime Minister, let's say. The Ganga will never get clean if there is no dry months water. And dry months water is possible if we store something in the wet months. Because if you see the Himalayan river flow, 105 days, we are 30 times bigger, 50 times bigger. 70% water flowing within 3 to 4 months. Another 3 months, we are normal. And another 4, 5 months, we are totally dry. So shifting all these wet months water to dry months will create lots of hydropower in Nepal. I think India is interested more on the western side of Nepal. That's Pancheshwar, 6,400 megawatt. Past 14, 15 years, we were talking. I don't blame Indian side and Nepalese side because the market was not ready first. The Indian economic wasn't ready 15 years back to develop 6,000 megawatt in Nepal. The Nepalese bureaucracy and Nepalese politics wasn't ready. We were in conflict with the Maoists for past, let's say, 2000 to 2000, almost, 1990 to 2000. Then the transition period. Now the stable government is there in Nepal, and the stable government is there in, let's say, India. And since the Indian government foreign policy is changing a lot to the neighbors, I believe some big thing will move before 2020 between Nepal and India. If you see Bhutan, Nepal, even India, we have over 300,000 megawatt potential, and how much we use right now. The whole day I'm listening, the power is expensive, this, that. I went to Hydro-Quebec to study how Hydro-Quebec is helping New York and how the New York Power Exchange is helping to Hydro-Quebec to make the price band very small. Whenever Hydro-Quebec having almost 50,000 megawatt installed capacity, mostly storage, like James Bay, big one. New York Power Exchange having all supply from the nuclear and thermal. The power prices fluctuating. The fluctuation takes place almost 3 to 5 times if there is no supply from Hydro-Quebec. So what Hydro-Quebec is doing, when the power price is going too cheap, like now in India, the Hydro-Quebec stops all the storage units and they buy power from New York at 3 cents, 4 cents, 4.5 cents, something like that. So the market is not going to die. If the market is going to down, the day load price will be much higher, the peak price will be much higher. And when the price is coming up around early morning, the Hydro-Quebec starts opening the dam and the power price is within small band. That's the best example I have seen which Nepal, Bhutan and India should do. That makes the power much cheaper. I'm listening, the spare capacity India is having right now is too big. The problem is connectivity. And the problem is connectivity between the, let's say, two countries also. Nepal is planning in their one way, India is planning in their one way. Now we are pushing each other to sit, even with the Bihar states and UP states, that I think now if India is planning something, they have to plan and see what Nepal is going to build in future. Same with the, let's say, Nepal. Actually, the petroleum import became the biggest problem because in the past, we didn't believe in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Now the new government, I really hope the Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, this Mool mantra is, let's say, new government is chanting. They started already right from the, let's say, day one. So I'm really hopeful. In the past, we are talking for SAARC grid. And I tell you very frankly, India is not willing for the SAARC rate. I talked to your secretary, your state ministers in the past, planning commission heads. No, it's very clear. As a diplomat, they say, oh, no, we'll do it. SAARC rate is very good. But when I ask them personally, no. And without India's help, SAARC grid is never possible. And SAARC grid is such a big, why do you think SAARC grid? If Nepal, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Bangladesh is connected, and Bhutan, India, Bhutan, Bangladesh is connected, it's more than sufficient because we share one single river basin. What's happening in Sri Lanka, I didn't care for electricity. Yeah, we are good, let's say, friends. But in electricity exchange, water exchange, I didn't care what's happening in Sri Lanka because no water linkage is there. So I'm also in SAARC Chamber of Commerce. I head the Water Energy Council. I travel a lot to all these SAARC countries and meet all these planning commission peoples. What we're going to propose in SAARC conference now in Nepal, coming SAARC conference in November in Nepal, that let's make, don't say SAARC grid, say subgroup SAARC grids. Like maybe Bhutan, Nepal, India, and Bangladesh can come together. India already started linking with, let's say, Nepal and Bangladesh in big way. We have 400, let's say, kV transmission line. I hope during Prime Minister Modi's visit, 765 kV, another western line, something will get signed. Nepal is going to propose that one. I don't know exactly how India is going that one. And all these binational grid will become SAARC grid in future. Once you connect everything one by one, all this becomes SAARC grid. So I think that can be the foundation for SAARC grid. So I wonder sometimes, we are talking about Pakistan-India transmission line. We are talking about India-Sri Lanka transmission line. Who will supply and who will take? There is no surplus in India. There is no surplus in Sri Lanka. I don't think these are all dream. Taking transmission line to let's say, China, taking transmission line to Thailand, taking transmission line to Tajikistan, to Punjab. No, it's not possible at all. If some power is coming from Tajikistan, Pakistan will be the first to buy. The transmission cost will be so expensive. So I think we have regional resources with us. For India, naturally India itself, Bhutan and Nepal. And they have to work together. So all this Tajikistan, Thailand, all this China land, this grid isn't possible in the very near future. It may take another 20, 50 years. And what I see, the good part of Bhutan and Nepal power is India can buy in Indian currency because we have huge trade deficit with India. I don't remember, maybe $4 billion something a year. So Indian currency can come to Nepal, they can invest in Indian currency. Otherwise, you have to use your very hard-earned foreign currency to buy from Gulf country for the same power, for the coal. So the best part using Nepalese and this thing, Bhutanese, let's say, power is that it's not only for the energy security, it's for the food security, it's for the, let's say, navigation, it's for the development of neighbors, which Sabka Saath, which new mantra is coming in India. So I'm really hopeful. Things are changing much faster. In my estimate, the energy demand for this country will grow very fast. I'm watching China. I went to China in 1996 first. And I decided I'll never go to China. It was the worst country in the railway, in power system, in food, in everything, in currency, in language. After that, I went 1990, then I went China more than 55 times. I opened factories. I run the factory in China. What I found, the energy was so small in 80s. They are doing energy and energy. Every time I talk to my Chinese, let's say, bureaucrats, and what they say, oh, now we have sufficient energy. And next 2 years, no, it's always minus, always minus. With such a huge installed capacity, still China is dying to add more energy. So the energy will never be surplus. Once you have 1.2 billion population, maybe 1.3 billion population, these four countries, energy will never be surplus. It will be minus and minus and minus. What I see, I think, in the last line, we need to treat hydropower as a commodity. And I believe this PTA, Power Trade Agreement, which Nepal and India is going to sign, will make electricity as a pure commodity, and that will really help both countries to come up in the real price market. Thank you, IPPAI, for giving me this opportunity, and I see great future with Nepal and India also in future. Thank you.
Yes, please. Yeah.
All right, I'm not waiting for the mic. Maybe I can be heard. Mr. Pradhan, just one addition to what you said, your information. You mentioned about the SAARC grid, and you also mentioning that, people are saying we'll have the SAARC grid. When you ask them personally, there's not much of reaction. May I just remind you, at the SAARC conference held in Kathmandu a month ago, Mr. Ravinder was there. I think the delegates requested the SAARC Energy Center, Islamabad, to prepare a feasibility report on the SAARC grid. And that's a part of the conference, and they have agreed to do so. So let us wait for some time. That was requested in Kathmandu by the SAARC countries, that SAARC Energy Center should produce a feasibility report on SAARC grid, to which they agreed. I think so it will come very soon.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I'm involved from 1992, right from this SAARC grid concept. I'm watching for, I'm already old now. In 1992, I was a bit younger guy.
I'm only talking what happened last month.
No, I know, sir.
Last month they have prepared to...
Mr. Ashok, let me clarify that let us stop talking about fiction. Please, I told you, please, you should have heard me carefully, kindly read the document. SAARC grid is nothing but patching up the existing grids of all the countries through strong interconnections and internal strengthening. It is not a new layer or something in the air. So though no feasibility report or study is required for that. We are already operating a SAARC grid in pilot form. What more feasibility do you want? So I now request Mr. Jim Tshering to tell us, my request to Mr. Jim Tshering will be to tell us about the future, not about the past.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And in particularly, I thank IPPA and especially Mr. Haridwal for inviting us here to get together on these transmissional issues. So in this regard, I think very well aware that Bhutan-India friendship lies way back to 1947. So from where we started together, worked together, and then today, I think with the support, we are in a position to, by 2020, it's an ideal thing which Mr. Ravinder has already mentioned that if not generated, but still, we would have awarded the work, so for 10,000 megawatt project. So which is also that we have an agreement with the Government of India saying that it is an umbrella agreement between the two governments, so that 10,000 megawatt will be generated, the excess power will be exported to India. So this is a understood matter. And with which I think the future thing with Prime Minister Modi visiting Bhutan, of course, his first visit to the foreign nation, so we are very happy with that one, keeping in line with the Nehru Wangchuk relations since 1947, so it is living, so that's why we are very happy with that one. And with his visit, he also made it specific on the power concern. So what he said in the National Assembly of Bhutan was saying that now not leaving to Bhutan alone, but he also said that countries like Nepal, Bhutan, and then well within the SAARC region, Afghanistan, are very rich in hydro, and then this should be harnessed. So he also promised that all these hydro reserves should be harnessed for the betterment of the SAARC region. So he also mentioned that stronger SAARC region, better for everyone. So this is, I think, what we believe also to be in line with what SAARC usually used to be. So with which I think the 4 joint venture projects which is being one inaugurated during his visit. So we'll go with I think 2,500 megawatt. So this I think by this month, today is 1st of August, so by this month they are saying that one of the project will kick off. And other 3, well, the DP has been all done. So with the, I think, prominent companies from India like Satujal, NHPC, then THDC. So these 3 are very well into picture. So I think we hope by end of 2014, this will also start off. And on the other hand, there are 2 mega projects, which is initially Sonkos was supposed to be 4,500, but due to some reason or the other, the dam height has been reduced to, it will be generating 2,500 megawatt. And also, there's in the east, Kuri Kongri, which is also 2,500. So altogether, it's 5,000. Well, on the Amochu concern, which is 500 megawatt, I think they say that just because of the terrain or whatever it may be, so they say that we keep just break on that one. So these 5,000 megawatts. So all in all, by 2020, 10,000 megawatt is a mark between the India-Bhutan relationships. Further on to the transmission systems also, we have very well connected with, now we have 4 openings in the country. That is one with from eastern side to Rangia, the other from central to Salakati, and one with Birpara, and then Birpara and Siliguri, of course. And then the new one, which is for Pune 1 and 2, which is also coming up in Alipur. So this will be the mega power pooling station, whereby India Power Grid, MS Power Grid is already on the job of constructing the 800 kV HVDC at Alipur. So I think all the power which is in the east will be pulled into this substation and then pulled to Agra. So this is what is happening right now. Of course, there are lots of things that are happening well within the SAARC region, but what I would like to remind is also that when we think of the hydro reserves of Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, and of course within the India, Sikkim, and then Arunachal Pradesh. So with all these things, I think we should be making the utmost action to harness these hydro reserves. While this morning we are also hearing that there are also problems into the coal reserves and then implementation of thermal stations. So with which I think clean and cheap power, that's hydro. So I think SAARC. But I still remember during the school days, there was there's the English teacher. He always says that there's a small word called if and but. So these two plays a vital role, whereby everywhere, yes, you can develop this one, but it gives a big stop on that thing. If so in this regard, what Mr. Haridol and the group has very well mentioned about can India afford to have an unequal society? So not only India, I would like to extend hereby, can the SAARC nation afford to have an unequal society? Of course, there the problem starts again with the first speaker of the morning. He said that hierarchy. So again, when the experts narrowing down the unequal society to an equal society, but again, there's this hierarchy system. Who will take the lead? By virtue of strength, the size. So in this regard, if we are to do away with all these things and come over in a hand and gloves position, the SAARC will always do better. So in this regard, my request now as a transmission person I'm in charge of the transmission, both the O&M construction and then the Infocom. So in this regard, my sincere request to each and everyone in the SAARC region is to come forward, harness the available resource for the betterment of the people down the line. So with which I wish all the best. I think Mr. Haridol and his group is making enormous effort collecting all the wisdoms together to have a better power systems well within the SAARC region. So I think while we are talking of India, of course, definitely within the country, we will definitely, India can, I can say that India can afford to have an unequal society because, not because anything else, but because by its size. So the world's second largest population, so definitely can afford to do. But exactly as some of the earlier speakers were also saying that when we go abroad, when we see outside, the brain comes from India only. Yes. So in this regard, see, I also recollect that once, that was early 90s when we visited US, that time we really, as a SAARC nation, we love to see someone called Mr. Pillai from Kerala leading the NASA. So in this regard, I think that is the sort, wherever it may be, the brain comes out, the wealth comes out, but then we have to gap it up. So in this regard, once again, I would like to thank the organizer for giving such an opportunity to sit together, talk together. Yes, in a 2 days session itself, we get lots of knowledge from the distinguished speakers, and then we got to learn that one. Of course, together we have to play too. So with this one, I think in near future, we see SAARC nation with the flourishing that this sort of communications and then connections, so together, so that we harness the hydro reserves for the shortage of power death companies or whatever it may be. So with this, I wish all the best to the delegates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tshering. So now I request my friend, Mr. Obaidullah from Bangladesh. You know, he was earlier in SAARC Energy Center, Kathmandu, and he has an excellent exposure to SAARC. So I'll ask him to enlighten the audience with his experience. Thank you.
Let's connect the, yeah. Before starting my presentation, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to IPI, especially Mr. Haridol, for inviting me in this August gathering. You have already heard about the transnational electricity trade. In my presentation, I will try to highlight the issues related to electricity trade in South Asia. Before going into depth, let us see the strength of South Asia. We have a sizable population, relatively young, and with a growing middle class. Good track record in economic growth, collective growth, abundant natural resources, biodiversity, wide range of productive capabilities in agriculture, manufacture, and services. Our weaknesses are huge gap and pronounced disparities in rule of law and governance, which creates unequal society. Absence of effective regional grid, large unskilled workforce, lack of harmonized policies, absence of regional strategy. Opportunities are strategic location, strong historical and cultural link, potential to increase energy, water, food production, and proactive role in responding to supply crisis. Potential to develop regional economic hub. And threats are lack of internal cohesion, to formulate a long-term regional development strategy, unresolved intra- and extra-regional territorial disputes, ethnic conflicts, inability to collectively manage climate change, energy security, and regional disaster. Now, let us see the estimated primary energy demand of SAARC member states. From the historical primary energy demand, current demand, and forecasted energy demand, we observed that around 8% energy demand is still unknown, source is unknown. And if we see the electricity demand and the primary energy requirement, we observe that 52% of the primary energy will be utilized for generating electricity. So this is the energy scenario of SAARC member states. Now, we have plenty hydro resources. In figure, it is around 46 terawatt hour, but we are utilizing only 16 to 17% of that natural resources. And another issue is that energy trade is not new in this region. All the SAARC member states are involved in the trading business, whether it is coal, pipeline gas or LPG, oil or petroleum, and electricity. It is already discussed by Mr. Ravinder that we have interconnection, bilateral interconnection between Nepal, India, Bangladesh, India, and Bhutan, Bangladesh. On the basis of regional energy resources and blending the regional energy resources, heads of states of SAARC member states recognize the need to develop regional and sub-regional energy resources in an integrated manner during the 15th SAARC summit held in 2008, Colombo. So, demands are identified and issues are also identified. And they also developed the proposed SAARC energy ring on the basis of electricity trade, gas linkage, and human resource, sharing of human resources. So, if we can materialize the dream of our leaders, we can draw the schematic diagram of future SAARC grid in this way. Another vision comes from Harry Dahl. He is more visionary. His concept is we can draw this line from Tajikistan to Singapore. This is not unlike. And if we scan the environment, some people are very much pessimistic that ASEAN are developing, but we are not developing. But my understanding is that to reach current position, they require 46 years. At this stage, they are thinking borderless economy, economic community by 2030. And we hope with the current leadership, we would be able to move south in that direction. So, if we want to materialize electricity trade, we have to know the rules and regulation of the member states. Here, I summarize the major governing frameworks of SAARC member states. Due to shortage of time, I will not go in detail. Most of you are familiar with the rules and regulation of the member states. And these are the licensing authorities and utilities. If we want to materialize the transnational electricity trade, we have to know the players of the area, energy sector. These are tabled here. And licensing is a very common issue in SAARC member states. For regional power trade, we need harmonized rules and regulation. And for this, it is same for transmission and load dispatch. In some countries, these are handled by separate, and in some countries, these are handled by integrated organizations. And like licensing, we need some procedure and guidelines for SAARC grid code for electricity interconnection. In bilateral electricity trade, we are considering Electricity Act of India as the baseline. But when we will develop the SAARC grid, at some stage we may require some harmonized rules and regulation or fine-tuning. So in this regard, we can think something out of box. And for electricity trade, except India, none of the SAARC member states have nodal agency for electricity trade. And in future, there is a crying need to identify a focal agency for the member states for dealing the trading electricity trade issues and tariff. All over the South Asian countries, tariff is subsidized or cross-subsidized. And for cross-border electricity tariff setup, this may be based on transparent process of competitive bidding. So what we heard from today's discussion, that generators are not able to sell their electricity. If we can make a true market, we are talking about market, but it is a restricted market. It is not the open market or true market. In true market, in economics, price will be settled by the supply and demand issues. So another issue is dispute resolution. India have the appellate court, and for SAARC member states, appellate tribunal for electricity may be considered. And regulatory commission, like in this session, you talked about forum for regulators. In the same way, we can develop forum for South Asian regulators to tackle the regulatory issues. And we all know the functions of forums. And if we summarize the critical issues for power trade among the SAARC member states or across the region, there are 8 critical factors which are influencing. These are all known: geopolitics, society's culture and behavior, technology, supplier, customer, security. All these 8 critical factors are the basic issues for materializing SAARC electricity trade. And another issue is cost of security versus cost advantage of trade. Because cost of security, we are not able to materialize CASA 1000 project. We are not able to implement IPI project. So we have to think twice the cost of security versus cost advantage of trade. Before concluding my presentation, I would like to say, actually regional cooperation is no longer a dream, but reality. And if we want to reduce the gap between have and have not, we have to think twice how we can reduce our mental narrowness and how we can improve our trust. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you for patient hearing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obaidullah. Do you have any questions, sir? Any questions so far? So now I request Mr. Rohit. He's from India Energy Exchange, the power exchange which does business here, to briefly tell us your plans to extend your operations to the other countries.
Good evening. I just want to take it forward from where Mr. Abdullah has left. He talked about energy trading in SAARC area, SAARC region. In India, we do have one energy exchange, which is highly liquid, which is operational for last 6 years. So let us see, let us analyze, do we have capability to extend our exchange to other SAARC region, other nations can be roped in, and are we capable of forming a pool? I'll quickly throw some numbers. I'll just share the current status of our exchange, and then probably we'll discuss some international examples, like Norway example where
Explain your exchange operations that people are familiar with. How we will do international trade?
I'll
Please
skip
come
that.
to the operative part.
whole idea was I just wanted to show that
Now
we
people
have
are
a
getting
liquid-
bored, boss. They want to know how the international trade will take place.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
Come to that.
I'll just skip these slides.
Because the presentation everybody has seen.
These figures are also shared by past speakers. We have interconnection in place, which is basic requirement for
That they know.
transaction to happen. So with India, Nepal, India, Bhutan, India, Bangladesh, there are connections. Now why exchange?
That also, you see, there are two options. One is that the Bangladesh, for example, becomes the client of an Indian member
Yeah.
and then transacts. Okay. Second is that when will you be able to make Bangladesh your direct member on the exchange, and so that they can operate from Dhaka without talking to their Indian counterpart. You know, those are the two options. Please tell people about that.
Yeah. So if we look at the models, so this is important. One slide, I'll just take 2 minutes. Now how the exchange looks like, how a regional exchange looks like. Now there is one option where there is a competitive market available and then single buyer markets pooled in. Now this is the example number 1, which we can see here. This is not very liquid model. This competitive market is found by only, let's say, 4 or 5 market participants, which are basically single buyer model. So liquidity is very poor. This is a very shallow type market. Now if we look at the second market, where we have one competitive market in place, there is an existent competitive market, and then single buyer market can be attached to it. Now we are talking about this market. This is something similar to what has happened in Norway, and this is what is possible in SAARC nation. Now the further competitive market could be where we have 4 or 5 different models.
One second, sorry. Let me clarify that what he is talking about and what we mean is, here sitting on the stage, that they're developing a voluntary electricity market similar to the voluntary optional market we have in India, extending this market operation in which there are average in IS 200 participants on day ahead market to the buyers across the border through the physical transmission links. So we are not talking of a true uniform price discovery or a mandatory pooling of power or reopening any PPA. Nothing will be disturbed. The existing IS exchange operation will become open, not to single model, maybe to the single buyers across the border like NEA or some other company,
Yeah.
but it will be open to multiple generators in Nepal and Bhutan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are 2 options. One is where we are opening it only for a single buyer, and then
No,
later.
sir, you will have to open it up to all the merchant generators or merchant capacity owners of Nepal and Bhutan.
No, sir. Actually, the model we are talking about, which can be implemented immediately, there we cannot do that. Actually, DISCOM will facilitate that. DISCOM will buy power. DISCOM will only sell power through energy
So
exchange.
that model is not workable, you see. There are 26 licenses, sooner or later in Nepal they will mature.
Yeah.
Some of them may have 100% PPAs,
Correct.
but few of them, 5, 6 of them, smaller ones of 100 megawatt capacities, they may they may not have any, they may be merchant plants. So like the Gachu plant is at Druk Power and Tata Power joint venture in Bhutan.
Correct.
It will be commissioned next year.
Yeah.
So they'll be selling power to India,
Yeah.
and they want to sell power through exchange.
Correct.
You know,
So that they have already initiated
Yes.
the process and then they have
you
applied.
explain how they will do it.
Yeah. For participation in exchange, there is one requirement of either the country can participate directly or there could be trading licensee in place. So we have trading licensee in India. Those can be utilized, and countries like Bangladesh or Nepal, they can float tenders and then select their trading licensee, and they can in turn participate on their behalf. Now this model gives lot of flexibility to SAARC nations, because there you have flexibility in terms of payment. You can have weekly settlement, you can have fortnightly settlement based on how much trading margin or how much financing charges you are paying. Similarly, as Sir shared, in case of Tata Power, they have applied in CRC and they want to formalize on deviation settlement and grid code and other things. Now these, since no transaction has happened so far, and the things are in nascent stage, we need to have some mechanism, some regulatory framework in place. So till the time it is in place, yes, it is difficult, but yes, as the connectivity is there and we have grid code in place and deviation mechanism in place, same can be extended for these transactions as well. About what can be done immediately. Like in Bangladesh case, there is some 30-40 megawatt margin available in the existing transmission lines. So we can start with this quantum, the learning will happen and the doors will open. So that is one area. Similarly, in Nepal also there are some 25-30 connections available in place. Through radial connectivity we can utilize, we can optimize power sale through those areas as well. So this is some of the things that we can do. About evolution of integrated electricity market, this has been done in the past as well. One more example I want to share, where in South Africa and West Africa, they have tried this first model, wherein liquidity was less and all our single buyers. So this has not been successful, so we should not go for that. As we already have a competitive market available, we can always try the second model, and that has been proved well by other countries, and internationally that has been successful. Thank you.
So, if there are no questions, we can close this session. I'm sorry. If there are questions, they're most welcome.
No questions, so we can close the session.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ravinder, the way you have conducted the session. I appreciate, we all thank you very, very much. And we thank all the panelists for sharing their views on transnational trade of electricity. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a big round of applause to Mr. Ravinder and the panelists.